Hey guys, LFK Accountability here. A lot has happened in the last couple of weeks since I went public, or last week. I wanted to kind of set the record straight because the police have done a really good job of creating a narrative of who I am as this agitator, this instigator, a person that is purposely out to get gotcha videos, somebody that is just a police hater, that doesn't like authority at all. Now, I will freely admit that I really don't like people telling me what to do, and I think anybody could admit to a certain extent that they have that feelings from time to time. But what you won't find, and they're going to be able to provide you a lot of camera, dash cams and stuff, showing you me acting like an idiot. And I'll freely admit that's happened, and I try to take responsibility for those times, even the ones where it's hard to. And I try to get better. I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago or even 5 years ago. And that's the real issue here, is that, they've created this image of me as an agitator amongst themselves, and possibly amongst some of you that are seeing this. The reality is you won't find a video that starts out with me being any kind of agitated, with the possible exception of the day I was arrested with blood all over my face, and those were the only charges that stemmed from that event. I'm going to leave that one there because that's a continuing legal case, but what I want to go through is, let's just go through what I've gone public with. And I'm going to try to organize this by date, going way back to when this all first started. So January 20th of 2020 was the original incident. Now, by late May or June, it was late May, I was out filming. Now, I never had any intention of going public with anything. My intention of filming was to file complaints and compliments and show the police department more of what the citizens expect from police as far as investigations and the way they treat the public. Now, I'm going to have to say that this guy right here, Sergeant Byrne, is probably the guy that really set this whole thing off and really got us motivated. Because right off the bat, he came out in the police parking lot and made threats that he was working with legal to find anything arrestable, harassment, stalking, these other things. And all we had done to that point is show up at the police department during shift change and watch the officers come in, get out of their patrol cars, move their weapons, go inside and come back out. That's all we'd done. We'd had a few interactions with officers that decided to try to blind us with flashlights, which everyone knows is actually impeding a First Amendment right. Demanded IDs from a few of them. There was some discrepancy about whether an ID policy existed in the Lawrence Police Department. One does now. So that's in early June. I think it was June 8th or June 9th of 2020 that Sergeant Byrne made the threats, and here he is on June 10th asking citizens, one of them is being arrested, to file complaints on us for filming in public. Now, when I made a complaint about that behavior to then Captain Squire, he told me that since there was no place to file that complaint, that Sergeant Byrne hadn't done anything wrong. That's okay. So we move on. That escalates us just a little bit more, makes us want to ask a few more questions. Now, so we get down here to the 16th of June. Now, this is within 15 days of us starting to film. We come across one of Brad Williams's last assaults before he gets in a lot of hot water and has civil cases for assault on Duck Tran filed against him and things like that. Now, we've seen his name in the newspaper too many times, guys, and he was still allowed to stay on the force even after this incident that was caught on cam. He didn't resign until January of 2021, and that resignation is kind of a joke anyway. So here we are on the 16th. Now, we've caught that video, and then now you go to the 20th of June. This is 2020. This is when Sergeant Neff showed up, and a lot of you have seen that video. He showed up playing his games. So here's within 30 days. These are the reactions that we're getting. We got Sergeant Byrne starting out. We got Sergeant Neff. Had a couple other interactions with a couple other officers. But as you can see in some of the documents that I've posted, I've redacted individual officers' names. because it's not, this isn't about the individual young officers, and I'm not trying to expose them or dox them or anything like that. This is about the leadership at the Lawrence Police Department. There's an attitude in there regarding the citizens. And, you know, the most recent video, which I'll get to at the end, really exemplifies that. So that's on the 20th, and by the 21st, now we've got Douglas County Sheriff trying to trespass us off public property for simply being there filming shift change. Now this is like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We had made an agreement, my former partner and I, to not film the officers coming out in their civilian clothes and getting in their personal automobiles and leaving, because they were uncomfortable with that. And we weren't trying to make them uncomfortable. We were trying to provoke change. So we had agreed not to film them coming out maybe a day, 2 days before this. And then, so here comes Douglas County Sheriff going to trespass us off public property. All bets off, guys. We had agreed not to film you coming out and getting in your personal cars. And it wasn't too long after that that I looked down in Brad Williams' back seat, and he's got a half-eaten box of donuts back there, man. Wasn't that guy a real cop? So now we move on, 621. Let's see, what's the next one? So I got involved in some other things between June of 21 and in the middle of winter. I had gone out and filmed, and I've got a lot of other footage that I haven't put out here. You know, I've put out enough to make my point here that we've got some good guys and some bad guys, and we need a little bit of change. Now, I had always had a problem with the Office of Professional Accountability because the way they'd handle citizen complaints. You know, I'd always been before one of those guys that when I got pulled over by a police officer, I'd roll all my windows down, turn all my lights on inside, make sure they saw me as no threat, compliance all the way through. Now, there were several experiences with the Lawrence Police Department through my 30 plus years I've been here now. In 2010, while working with the census and doing a late shift, I was twice pulled over because they thought I might be a drunk. And the officers literally said this to me, that, you know, that's what people do out at this time of night, or, you know, mostly drunks are out at this time of night, and we're trying to protect the streets. Now, one of these officers had a dash cam, and I submitted a complaint on that officer that I never heard back from. Now, that was one experience that tells me, okay, they don't really care. I never heard back, so, okay, what's the point? Again, in 2012 and 2015, I had 2 more times that I was pulled over in the middle of the night with false pretense. One of them had followed me for a while, and then when I stopped at a stoplight, he stayed back like 4 car lengths, which made me real nervous. And I made a quick right-hand turn, and that's what he stopped me for, was not signaling that right-hand turn. So in 2014, I'm driving a wrecker by then, a tow truck, and I turn, granted, illegal left turn onto Vermont Street off of Massachusetts Street. Fully expected to get a ticket and would have paid it, not argued it a bit. This officer scared me. He came unglued on me. In the middle of his rant, he kept asking me questions, and every time I try to answer, he'd just start screaming at me more. So there's another experience. Now, by 2018, I'm my own guy, and I have an officer pull up next to me. I'm in my business vehicle with my flashers on, taking a call from a client on the side of the road, and he cites me for improper stopping, standing, or parking. Or he doesn't cite me, but he writes me a warning. Okay, I've had another interaction with that officer, and he hasn't really changed in 3 years. So by 2020, I have my own experience with these officers, and it affects me personally, and that's when I start picking up a camera and getting ideas about actually documenting what's going on in this town. And that's what you see here. So I come back out in the spring, and I do a lot of filming, and I'm out quite a bit. They've seen me, and I've ran into quite a few officers. I believe this interaction with Officer Hammond was probably in April or May. I mean, he's a great guy, and I've got no issues with him, and I've interacted with him on several other scenes, and he's always been respectful and polite. The whole reason I'm here now is because of the way you escalated things, and now there's a legitimate concern, and you're dismissing it because of the messenger. I have questions about if it would have been somebody else that submitted the complaint about this, would you have talked to them a little bit more? And if that's the case, that's not going to be acceptable. Okay, so now I've gone public, and the people this video is really addressed to are the people in this city that can make some changes here. Now, you see in all these videos, you see a silent recorder in nearly all of them. The only one that you really see anything is the triggered auditor. Now, like I said, you're going to see me acting a fool on some of their body cams if they're able to show them. But the problem is if they start showing those, I'm going to start wanting to see some other ones, because we can't just control the dialogue, and that's what's been going on. Now, the recent study that came out showed problems in the OPA complaint process. I point that out right here, the way it was dismissed. Okay, and then you can see the OPA complaint process going down the line in the evidence of an accountability problem here. You know, we've got officer complaints that are consistently sustained, which indicates that there is some issue. And then we have citizens complaints that are completely dismissed in most cases. Now, since I've gone public, you know, kind of hard to believe, but this intimidation video here, you'll actually see somebody threaten my life. Now, there's been a lot of spam that's come across my videos, and they're one-day-old Facebook accounts and things like that, or one-day-old YouTube accounts. I have full, you know, suspicions. I can't say I know it, but I have suspicions these are Lawrence police officers, because it would be par for the course for them that they would come on here and try to intimidate somebody. And you know, the thing is I'm not somebody that they're going to be able to intimidate. I'm a 51-year-old white male that doesn't have a criminal background. You know, have I been arrested? Sure. I've been in handcuffs a few times. Cases have been dismissed, otherwise dispensed with. I've never been convicted of anything serious as an adult, traffic offenses and crap like that. So I'm not somebody that you can just intimidate. I'm not on paper, and you can't just call my probation officer and have me thrown in jail. Like you threatened this other girl in this most recent video. So I've shown both the good and the bad. You know, I've highlighted Officer Hammond. I've highlighted Sergeant Hyatt. And if you talk to Sergeant Hyatt, you're going to find that when I come on a scene on him where he's on, you know, hey, is that Sergeant Hyatt? This is the last one on Iowa Street. Hey, is that Sergeant Hyatt? Yeah, how are you doing, Michael? Oh, good, Sergeant Hyatt. Have a good night. And punch knuckles, and I get in my truck and leave. And the reason that is because I have confidence in that man based on my interaction that he's not going to try to abuse the public. The same as I would with Officer Hammond. The same as I would with Officer Ashley. Or I'm sorry, Sergeant Ashley. But Sergeant Neff, Sergeant Fennelly, people that try to escalate, Sergeant Byrne, who really escalated this whole thing with us, and Troy Squire, I mean, you're in charge, man. You need to help us change this. And if it's not going to be me that you'll listen to, maybe it's some people that I can talk to that you'll listen to. I just want you to listen, man. So, as I said, I'm not here to get gotcha moments. I'm not here to try to embarrass you and do that kind of stuff. That's why I've claimed copyright on this video. I'm not trying to embarrass our citizens. I'm not trying to let it get put out there and have somebody make a meme out of somebody's bad day. And a lot of scenes where we showed up on where somebody was having a bad day, we put our cameras in away and left. And that's exactly what happened here with Sergeant Neff before he made a jerk out of himself. So let's just get the story straight. We came out silent auditors and silent observers. And as I've told other people on the street, I'm a silent observer until somebody wants to make an issue of it, Sergeant Fennelly. So if you all want to, you know, keep obfuscating and being obstinate about what's really going on here, and you know, the little porn spam, it's all cool. I'm good with that, but I'm just going to keep posting videos. Now I'm going to take a little break here and let things simmer, and let's just see what happens with what's come out. Doesn't mean I'm going away, doesn't mean I'm going to stop filming, but it means my goal is change, not just a YouTube channel I can monetize, which I could if I wanted to, guys. I could monetize this and be making money off every click, and the ones that you do too. So LFK out, guys. Have a good day.